Isn't it amazing how, with science moving so fast, some really big breakthroughs can just sort of slip past us?
Definitely. You hear about research constantly, but sometimes the ones that could genuinely change things don't make the biggest splash immediately.
Exactly. And we found, well, at least 8 recent ones that maybe flew under your radar, but really have some serious potential. So today, we're going deep.
Right. We're talking medical advances, ecological stuff, even new things about how animals communicate, pulled largely from reporting in the week.
Think of this as your shortcut, really. We'll pull out the key bits, why they matter, what might come next, get you up to speed quickly but properly.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's kick off with something that feels really hopeful. Pancreatic cancer. Well, it's been a tough one, hasn't it? Newer treatments haven't made the same dent as with other cancers.
That's unfortunately true, which is why this development is quite significant. It's an mRNA vaccine.
Like the COVID vaccines.
Similar technology, yes, but this one's designed for patients who already have pancreatic cancer. Early trials are showing some promise.
So how does it work? Is it preventing it or fighting it?
It's therapeutic, so it's fighting it. Basically, the mRNA tells the patient's immune system, specifically the T cells, how to recognize and attack the cancer cells based on their unique genetic mutations.
Ah, okay. So it's like training your own body to find and destroy the tumors.
Precisely, giving the immune system a very specific target. It's based on research published in Nature.
Now, you said early trials.
Yes, and that's the important caveat. It was a small trial, only 16 patients, but encouragingly, 8 of them showed a positive response.
What kind of response?
A lasting immune response, the kind that could potentially reduce the risk of the cancer coming back after surgery. That's a huge deal if it holds up.
If it holds up, right. So more research is needed.
Absolutely. We need to see if these T cells stick around long term, and crucially, if it actually extends patients' lives. That's the next big step.
Still, for pancreatic cancer, any positive step feels significant. Dr. Balachandran, who led the trial, pointed out how progress has lagged here.
Exactly. It fits into this broader push for cancer vaccines, using the body's own defenses. Even these early results are a real glimmer of hope in a very challenging field.
Okay, moving on to something that sounds straight out of science fiction. Growing a spine.
Well, not the whole spine, but a really critical part called the notochord.
The notochord. Remind me.
It's key in developing embryos. It sort of organizes everything, helps lay out the plan for the nervous system. Think of it as a guide.
A guide. Or a GPS, as one researcher put it.
Yeah, James Briscoe. A good analogy. And later on, it actually develops into our intervertebral discs.
The cushions between our vertebrae.
The very same. And scientists have now managed to grow this notochord structure from human stem cells in the lab.
Wow. And does it work like a real one?
It seems to. Tiago Rito, another researcher on the project, mentioned it sends out the right chemical signals to organize the tissues around it, just like in an embryo.
Okay, so the potential applications here seem pretty big.
Definitely. Understanding how this works could give huge insights into birth defects affecting the spine or spinal cord.
And maybe even help with back problems later in life, since it becomes the discs.
That's the hope. Studying these lab-grown notochords could teach us a lot about disc degeneration and potentially lead to new treatments down the line. It's really fundamental work.
Fascinating. Okay, let's switch to energy. Green hydrogen. We hear a lot about it, but it's not quite there yet, is it?
Not on a massive scale, no. The potential is huge, clean fuel from water, but making it using renewable energy, which is what makes it green, is currently pretty expensive.
Right, it takes a lot of solar or wind power driving up the cost. Only a tiny fraction of hydrogen produced today is actually green.
Something like 0.1%. Yeah, it's a big hurdle.
But there's a new reactor design.
Yes, a prototype reactor that's trying a different approach. It uses just sunlight and water. No need for that massive external renewable energy input during the production phase itself.
How does that work?
It uses special materials called photocatalytic sheets. When sunlight hits these sheets in water, they directly split the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen.
So the sheet itself uses the sunlight to do the splitting.
Exactly. It's direct solar to hydrogen conversion.
Okay, but sunlight isn't constant. Nighttime, cloudy days.
True, that's the limitation of any direct solar process. But the key here is that you're capturing solar energy and storing it as hydrogen fuel. You can then use that hydrogen whenever you need it.
Ah, so it's a way to store solar energy chemically.
Precisely. The big challenge now, as one of the researchers, Kazunari Doman, pointed out, is improving the efficiency. getting more hydrogen out for the amount of sunlight going in.
If they can crack that efficiency problem.
And this could be a pathway to building large-scale plants and making green hydrogen much more viable. It's an exciting direction.
Definitely one to watch. Okay, next up, pandas. Always a crowd pleaser.
And this is really hopeful news for conservation. Scientists have managed to turn giant panda skin cells into stem cells.
Stem cells, the ones that can become anything.
That's right. Induced pluripotent stem cells, or iPSCs. They have this amazing potential to develop into any type of cell in the body, muscle, nerve, whatever is needed.
So how does that help pandas?
Well, a couple of ways. These stem cells could potentially be used to help with breeding, maybe creating eggs or sperm down the line, although that's still a way off.
Okay, and disease.
Yes, they could be incredibly valuable for studying panda diseases and maybe even developing treatments by creating specific cell types in the lab to test things on.
It sounds like a powerful toolkit for endangered species in general.
It really is. The study called stem cells a potential self-renewing, inexhaustible source of material. Imagine having that for species on the brink.
Was it difficult to do for pandas?
Apparently, yes. Pierre Camisoli from the Smithsonian mentioned that the standard methods used for humans or mice just didn't work. They had to figure out a panda-specific recipe.
So what's the next step?
The big goal now is to try and create actual panda embryos in the lab using these stem cells. A major challenge, but potentially revolutionary for panda conservation.
Amazing. All right, let's move from pandas to primates. Marmoset monkeys.
Yes. And a really surprising discovery about how they communicate. It seems they might use specific calls, almost like names.
Like calling each other by name. Really?
That looks that way. Researchers recorded their phi calls, these sort of whistle-like sounds they make.
Okay.
And they found that the monkeys responded much more reliably and quickly when they heard a call that was typically directed at them by a specific other monkey.
So they recognize their name call, essentially.
It suggests something very much like that, yeah. Referential communication about individuals.
I thought that was something only humans, maybe dolphins and elephants did.
That was the general thinking, yes. Finding this in a primate, a marmoset, is pretty groundbreaking.
So this makes us rethink animal communication.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It suggests that the way other social animals talk to each other might be far more complex than we've assumed. As one expert, Kon Slobodchikov, put it, it nudges toward us changing our views about animal capabilities and intelligence.
We need better ways to listen, maybe.
Exactly. It pushes the boundaries and makes us ask, what else are we missing?
Okay, let's turn back to human health.
Oh.
Lupus. It's a tough autoimmune disease.
Very complex, yes. The body's immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues. But there's new research pointing to a possible root cause.
A root cause? What did they find?
They found a fundamental imbalance in the immune cells, specifically T cells. In lupus patients, there are too many of the T cells that cause damage.
And not enough of the ones that help with repair.
Exactly. Too many attackers, too few repairers. Deepak Rao, one of the authors, highlighted this key imbalance.
And did they figure out why this imbalance happens?
It seems linked to a protein called interferon. Too much interferon appears to block another protein, the aryl hydrocarbon receptor, which normally helps keep the immune system in check.
So, too much interferon messes up the regulation, leading to the T-cell imbalance.
That seems to be the mechanism they've identified. Interferon blocks the regulator, the T cells go haywire, and the body attacks itself.
Is there a way to fix it?
Well, this is the really exciting part. The study looked at a drug called anifrolumab, which specifically blocks interferon. And in the lupus patients they studied, using this drug actually prevented that harmful T-cell imbalance from developing.
Wow. So blocking interferon could potentially rebalance the immune system in lupus.
It strongly suggests that, yes, it offers a potential therapeutic path that targets this newly understood root cause. It's a very promising development.
Definitely offers hope. Okay, breakthrough number 7, restoring brain cells. That sounds huge.
It is pretty remarkable. This involves a specific genetic disorder called Timothy syndrome, which affects brain development.
And scientists found a way to fix it.
They found a drug that allowed human neurons with the Timothy syndrome mutation to develop normally in a lab setting.
How does the drug work? What does it do?
It's something called an antisense oligonucleotide. Think of it as a tiny piece of synthetic genetic material. It's designed very specifically to target the faulty instructions coming from the mutated gene. It essentially intercepts the bad message and allows the cell to produce a correct, healthy version of the protein instead.
So it corrects the error at the protein production level.
Exactly. It doesn't change the gene itself, but it counteracts the effect of the mutation.
That's clever. Does this have potential beyond Timothy syndrome?
That's the big hope. Dr. Huda Zoghbi, a prominent geneticist, commented that this kind of approach could mark the beginning of a new era for treating many genetic disorders we thought were untreatable.
Like what kind of disorders?
Potentially conditions linked to similar mechanisms, maybe including some forms of schizophrenia, epilepsy, ADHD, even autism spectrum disorder where specific gene mutations play a role.
Incredible, the idea of precisely targeting these genetic errors.
It's a major shift towards addressing the root causes, not just managing symptoms. Really powerful stuff.
Okay, one last breakthrough and it's back to conservation. Rhino IVF.
Yes, another amazing conservation story. Scientists achieved the first successful IVF pregnancy in a rhino.
Which type of rhino?
It was done with a southern white rhino embryo transferred into a southern white surrogate mother in Kenya back in September 2023, and it resulted in a successful pregnancy.
That alone sounds like a massive challenge, IVF in a rhino.
Absolutely. Suzanne Holtz, one of the scientists involved, mentioned how difficult the procedure is in such a large animal. Just physically placing the embryo correctly is a feat.
But the real goal here isn't just southern whites, is it? It's about the northern white rhino.
Exactly. The northern white rhino is critically endangered. Only 2 females left, no males. They are functionally extinct in the wild.
But we have genetic material.
Yes, crucially, scientists have preserved frozen sperm from the last male northern white rhino, and they've also created northern white rhino embryos in the lab using eggs collected from the remaining females.
So this successful southern white rhino IVF pregnancy, it's like a practice run.
It's the vital proof of concept, as Thomas Hildebrandt from the Leibniz Institute called it. It shows the whole procedure, creating the embryo, transferring it, achieving pregnancy, can work in rhinos.
So now they can try it with the precious northern white rhino embryos.
That's the plan. Hildebrandt said this milestone puts them on track to potentially produce the first northern white rhino calves using IVF within the next couple of years.
Wow. Bringing a species back from the absolute brink using IVF.
It's an incredible intersection of high-tech reproductive science and urgent conservation, a real testament to persistence and innovation.
So that's our 8 breakthroughs. Quite a range, from cancer vaccines and stem cells to green energy and animal communication.
It really shows the breadth of scientific exploration right now. And each one, like you said, offers these nuggets of understanding, these glimpses into what might be possible.
Yeah, it's not just about the headlines. These are solid steps forward, often building on years of work that could genuinely impact our health, the planet, how we see the world.
Absolutely. And these are just 8 examples. This kind of progress is happening constantly, often quietly behind the scenes.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which area do you think will give us the next truly transformative breakthrough?
That's the million-dollar question. Could it be AI in drug discovery? Fusion energy? Something totally unexpected. It's fascinating to think about where that next big leap might come from.
Definitely food for thought. A reminder that science never really stands still.